Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 1, The Way of the Warrior. And this is a double-length feature episode. A Klingon fleet arrives at Deep Space Nine. After being recruited by Cisco, Worf discovers they plan to attack Cardassia, fearing a Dominion coup, and Starfleet rushes to save the Cardassian government at the cost of relations with the Klingon Empire.
Holy cow, what an episode.
Yeah. Oh, so much fun.
I don't see how the rest of the season can live up to this, a strong premiere like this.
Well, it's going to be fun finding out.
But we should talk about this episode and not speculate. So, how was it revisiting this?
Fantastic. This one is hard to talk about because so much happens. It didn't feel like a double-length episode. It felt triple-length. Yeah, I don't know where to start. There's a lot of space battles, and that is always good because it's just fun. There was hunting changelings, Klingons everywhere. Klingons are fun.
Klingons are so much fun, and plenty of sweet explosions.
Yeah, but it wasn't just fun in a shallow kind of, oh, they're punching each other in the face and things are exploding away. I mean, it was fun like that, but it was also pretty exciting because everything's gone completely off the rails for everyone.
Yeah, this episode is kind of relentless in its tension, and we have the threat of war, and people are on edge. There's rampant paranoia. It's so great.
Yeah, they're cutting their hands to check the blood. Not surprising that the Klingons just knife themselves in the hand.
So are bloodborne diseases no longer a concern?
I would imagine not.
Oh, okay.
I hope not.
At least one of them had to use a dirty edge.
Well, Martok gives the blade to Cisco, and he wipes it off with a cloth. So presumably they were all sharing blood. But fortunately they are all different species, so they're different races. So who knows if diseases can... No, they always can, never mind. So I guess the one massive change to the show that is going to change everything is that there's there's a new intro, remastered HD.
Oh, is that why they did a new intro? Because they were changing resolution?
No, it's not HD. I just called it that. I don't know why.
Okay.
They must have just got bored of the intro, which is fair enough. They've added a little bass line and some more sound effects and lots more ships and little astronauts flying around.
It actually looks like a space station now. There are plenty of ships docking and flying around.
Yeah, it kind of makes it seem like in the previous series, it was just some bum space station at the end of the galaxy where Bajor was, and no one wanted to go there.
Yeah, it looked like an abandoned space station before.
Well, it kind of was derelict when they got it, but I guess it takes 3 years before it becomes a hub. Or
now it's a real station.
To the extent where they update the intro.
They also updated the crew.
Oh yeah, that, but I don't think that'll change anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. They did update the crew. Dax seems a lot more competent.
And Kira's hair is fuller.
Is there anything we're forgetting?
Odo found an elegant solution for
Oh yes.
For the dining experience.
Yes, now he can drink his own arm.
Yeah.
He said that I can join in the dining experience, but he can just drink coffee So they're all having pasta, space pasta or whatever, and he's sitting there drinking cup after cup of coffee.
And we have Worf now.
Oh, was Worf in this episode?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. He was dominating this episode.
Well, with that lovely and impressive and commanding voice, there's no way that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, he's got a nice gripping voice. It is all the arguments between the Klingons, especially in this episode. Gowron and Worf have the discussion about whether Worf should join him. It's always quite captivating seeing the Klingons bicker about trivial stuff.
They have the best arguments.
Yeah, it always devolves into how much honor they have and what kind of honor and whether they can trade that for alternate honor or house honor or that sort of thing. Okay, when I say that, it sounds bitter, but it's great television. I could sit and watch the Klingons punch each other in the face and argue about who's the best for days. It's just really entertaining.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They write them so well. This was my first exposure to on-screen Worf. I knew he was a next-gen character, but I never actually saw him in a video or anything. I only was aware of him through pictures, so his voice really struck me.
Yeah, it stands out here because, in terms of distinct voices or ones that catch the attention, Garak is the guy on Deep Space Nine who's got the voice. Or maybe Ducat. I mean, they all have nice voices. But Worf is quite a commanding one. On Next Gen, he was up against Patrick Stewart, so Patrick Stewart...
No one is going to eclipse him.
Yeah, his voice just... you can hear a pin drop when he's speaking.
Also, Cisco is bald now, and he seems more threatening.
The penalty he paid for growing a beard was that all the hair on his head retracted back into the follicles and disappeared.
The hair on his head rebelled.
As his beard got longer, it sucked in the hair on his head. It connects to his beard through his brain cavity.
He has a hair quota?
No, it's a series of connected strands. If you pushed his beard back in, the top of his head would get hairy again.
Oh, okay.
It's a 24th century technology. I think it's because Cisco is busy and doesn't have time to use shampoo anymore.
All that captaining that he has to do.
He looks more striking and authoritative when he is bald, with the goatee.
Yeah, he looks less like another dude on the station and more like the dude.
I think that's exactly how he pictures himself.
As the dude?
No, not the dude. Oh.
Sorry.
So coming back to Dax, she seems a bit more awesome in this one, I felt.
Was it because she punched a bunch of faces? Or what else are you getting at?
Well, remember in the episode Blood Oath, she seemed more awesome because she was holding her own against strong people, and also she was I'm not just talking about like, physically able to punch them in the face, although that is pretty cool, but she was confident, assertive, just what you would expect someone who's 300 years old to be.
Right.
Everyone around her is like a teenager in comparison, and that is how she was in this episode again.
Dax works best when she has that strength of mind and she's assertive like that. And we see that here, which is a great return. This whole episode worked as a nice reintroduction to the characters. You get an idea of who these characters are. I don't think season openers necessarily have to do that, but this one works pretty well in that regard.
Yeah, that is something that is often quite clunky, but they did it well here. I did notice that Worf is meeting everyone and they're reintroducing them and a lot of characters had what would otherwise have been clunky expositional lines, such as when he meets Jadzia and says, "Oh, you used to host the Curzon symbiont." Or
Yeah.
when Odo talks to him and he says, "Oh, I've also had trouble with my people being weird." I would have come across kind of plodding, but putting it in terms of a new character coming to the episode and focusing on that character, I think they got away with it pretty well.
Yeah, with that context, it smooths over what would otherwise be clunky.
Garak and Ducat were both there.
Side by side at one point.
Yes, complaining about punching people being not quite as good as interrogating them.
Which is kind of dark. He's mentioning that he'd rather be torturing people.
Yeah, when he's murdering them.
Yeah.
This episode made Garak look kind of nuts. He got beat up and kind of laughed it off. Which is good. That's how Garak is. He isn't a clean-cut guy. He's definitely someone you don't turn your back on.
Nothing he did or said was out of line for what his character is.
At this point with Garak, I don't know what he could do that would be out of line for Garak.
That's a good point.
No matter what he did, I would just think, okay, what is this about? What's the ruse?
Oh, I love that his tendencies to spread information were exploited. And a comment he had earlier in the episode about you can learn all sorts of things while tailoring, that was foreshadowing something that would happen later, but I took it as a throwaway line, and I loved that they did that. They end up having a conversation in front of him on purpose so that he will relay the information.
It's terrible security. We were talking last time, Starfleet has terrible security. That's another example. They leaked all of that info to Garak. They should have known that he has ties to Cardassia. Okay.
I was trying to come up with something.
There was a little throwaway scene in this episode with Garak and Quark talking about root beer. It was actually added because the episode came up short on time, but it's actually quite a loved scene by the fandom. What did you think of that?
I like that scene a lot. I've complained in previous episodes that they need more exchanges that exist for the conversation itself and don't necessarily tie into the plot. And that's a great example. Two people talking in a bar, complaining. People do that.
Complaining that the Federation are happy clappy guys, and also their only hope for not getting conquered by everyone else. It's kind of cool to see two alien characters disparage the Federation and actually criticize it, saying that there are serious downsides to the Federation. They're naive, they don't have a kind of rich outlook.
There's no way the Federation would be beloved by everything in the galaxy. So I would expect this sort of griping.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it much on Star Trek before now.
Not openly like this, but we have seen Quark express his open disdain for Nog wanting to be in Starfleet, although he frames that mostly as a departure from Ferengi culture and not so much because it's Starfleet. So I just refuted my own point.
Don't worry about it. I wasn't listening anyway.
Oh, okay.
I was. So, the body count in this episode was kind of high.
It was a good day to die.
Yep. They killed plenty of Klingons, plenty of Cardassians, some Bajorans, Starfleet guys. The old exploding keyboards got a few of them as well.
Yeah.
I think probably the darkest bit is when they're going through the wreckage and they decide not to stop to look for survivors.
Oh, yeah.
That is not how the Federation run things usually. Well, it kind of is, but they don't put such difficult choices in Star Trek very often.
I love seeing that stuff, the difficult choices. And there's no easy way out. It's either you do this difficult one or you do this difficult one, and there are consequences.
One thing I didn't like about all the killing is that 1 million Klingons beam into Deep Space Nine, and they all get killed by our heroes, and Kira gets stabbed in the leg, and a couple of unnamed guys get their faces exploded.
Yep.
It's odd. It kind of cheapens them in a way. They're super great warriors, but they also have very poor choice of attack, where they beam in and run at you with a knife whilst you've got a laser gun.
Never bring a knife to a phaser fight.
You say that, but every single Klingon did.
Yeah, they didn't hear that one.
But apart from the Klingons who were on the promenade, because they had to shoot guys that were further away, so they didn't bring bat'leths, they did bring phasers.
They are very bad about getting the memo out.
I just think it's odd that they brought the weapon that they would need to use in the combat situation they were going to face after they beamed on, without actually knowing what would happen after that. So, I'm going to beam on, then I'm going to have to shoot a guy over a railing, so I better bring a gun with me. I'm just going to get stabbed, so I'll just bring a bat'leth.
They were in such a rush to shed some blood, they didn't think about the ideal combat arsenal.
It's always like this when they have a big rumble. The Federation guys punch everyone else and win, and it's fun to see. It's good to watch a big rumble on the screen. But at the same time, the Federation guys end up looking like flipping the Incredible Hulk or something. Kira can punch out 8 Klingons. I'm not saying Kira isn't tough. I'm saying it makes the Klingons seem not very tough if everyone can get them.
The result of this fight cheapens the abilities of the Klingons.
I would say yes, but I don't think it's serious. It's not like they just got annihilated. There was casualties on both sides. It's just a sort of the plot armor starts getting a little bit visible, and you don't want to show plot armor.
Yeah. The only way I can excuse it is that wasn't their initial target, and so maybe they were flustered and they weren't prepared, and changing plans messed up lines of communication. So maybe that.
I think they're just mental.
Oh, okay. Why doesn't Odo use phasers? I forgot.
He doesn't, because it's a character trait. I can't use a phaser. Look at my character sheet.
It's weird, because there were plenty of scenes I thought, if you had a phaser right now, that would be useful.
Yeah, it's not like he's not killing them. He's just hitting them with a bat'leth anyway, or punching them, or whatever he was doing.
Right, he's not dodging them and running away or trapping them. He's punching them in the face.
Yeah, so it can't be out of pacifism. Maybe he's just a really bum shot.
And he doesn't want anyone to know.
He doesn't want to cause any friendly fire.
He's restricted. He's not allowed to use phasers, but he says he doesn't like to use them so people don't catch on. He can't figure out fine motor manipulation. That's why he's so terrible at shooting.
He wouldn't have to use his hands. He could make a mount on top of his head, like a turret, and then just make eyes all around his head, and just act as like a sentry gun. He was doing a good job of dodging those bat'leth attacks, which would not have harmed him.
But it would mess up his flow. You don't want your flow messed up during a battle.
Let's talk politics for a second.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Cardassia's up in arms. Their government fell to bits after the Obsidian Order got shafted.
Yep.
The Klingons are now annoyed at the Federation. Not at war, but not friendly either. Cardassia are probably annoyed at the Klingons.
I would think so.
Bajor are irrelevant.
As always.
Whoops. So there's a lot of tricky spots in the political landscape now. What's your forecast for the political stock market? I don't know where I'm going with this.
It's going to take a massive dive.
You think we're going to have a sort of Black Friday of political relations?
Just one military quagmire after another.
That would be what the founders want.
Yeah, so it probably won't happen. They'll all kiss and make up and then take out the founders.
Did you suspect that Decap might be a changeling when he was getting really funny about the blood test?
No, I imagine Decap would be annoyed by anything anyway.
That's true, he is kind of grumpy.
Dax and Cisco even had a bet about it.
Well, he loves to complain about anything that's not Cardassian.
Right, so it didn't even cross my mind that he would actually be a changeling. I thought, no, he's just complaining because he can.
Or if it's changeling Decap, he would have just said, "Sure, that sounds reasonable. Take my blood."
I thought it was kind of weird when Worf wanted to resign and Cisco said no, and then that was it. You can't deny someone wanting to quit, or maybe Starfleet's different. That was weird, though.
You can in certain military situations, I think.
Okay.
Because they were at a time of heightened military tension, he probably was allowed to say no.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a regular job. Yeah, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. No. Okay.
Handcuff you to your desk.
And then he manipulates Worf into staying.
Yeah, that was very Cisco. He spun this whole tale about... It was very convincing. Well, when I say that, I'm not saying he was lying. It's just convenient he comes out with the correct sub-story to make Worf stick around.
Oh, you want to leave? Well, my wife is dead.
Jesus. If you leave now, you're spitting on my dead wife's grave and my emotions.
It's a trope to start off something that seems dangerous and then it turns out to be a training exercise. But I enjoyed it here because when I saw it, I thought, you guys are using the same plot that you used the very previous episode, and then it turned out to be fake. And I like when the writers make me think they're hacks and then go a different way.
The Star Trek writers have struggles with hackiness now and again, which is nothing to be ashamed of with a TV show that spanned 700 episodes across all the different shows, so you'd expect quality to vary. But when they mislead you and bounce over your expectations, that's when they really get you. Plus, also, they took 3 hours and 27 minutes to catch Odo. He's bad at shapeshifting.
Well, in this episode, he was fast.
Yeah, but he's not... He can't mimic the crew.
Right.
The Krajensky changeling could mimic anything instantly. He could change faster than Odo as well. I'm not saying Odo's bad, but if they took 3 hours and 27 minutes to catch him, then they are dead if a changeling wants to take out DS9.
with that horrible of a time, I have to assume O'Brien wasn't allowed to participate.
It's not a horrible time. It's a world record.
For DS9.
Yeah, it's the fastest anyone has ever caught a changeling on DS9. They said it's their best time, and Oda said, yeah, it's not very good though, is it? 3 hours and a half. So we jumped around a lot here. A lot happened. Do you have a quote to summarize this entire mess?
Running may help for a little while, but sooner or later the pain catches up with you, and the only way to get rid of it is to stand your ground and face it.
That is a pretty clever choice. I commend you. They ignored the Dominion, and now they are awash with problems, and they have to deal with them.
I can't wait to see how they do that. Or if they don't and the station turns to shambles, I would also like to see that as well.
I think the station will probably survive until at least the final season. Otherwise, the show will be very strange.
It's nothing but 40-some odd minutes of a void.
Occasional bit of debris floating by. Odo floating by. So they stood their ground in this episode. They're probably going to have to stand their ground again in other future episodes.
That's a safe bet.
Therefore, we should watch those episodes.
All right.
Okay, let's do it. They're half as good as this one. They'll be pretty good.
Yeah, this sets such a high mark. You can only go down.
Oh. No, we'll see. We'll see.
No, we'll see, yes.
You never know what the next episode will have. Well, I actually know.
Okay, we need to end this.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.